In 2006, Hervé Felciani, then a computer engineer at HSBC's private bank in Switzerland, was asked to reorganize the bank's database to help improve security. Instead, he took the data, containing tens of thousands of client records, saying later that they contained evidence of massive tax evasion across the world. At the request of Swiss authorities, French police in 2009 raided his home and took possession of his computers and hard drives. But when they saw what he had, instead of turning him over to the Swiss, they gave him protection. The contents of those hard drives were then shared by French police with tax authorities across Europe and the world, sparking one of the biggest worldwide investigations into tax avoidance, tax evasion, and money laundering. They disclose more than $100 billion of cash and assets held by individuals around the world, often in accounts that tax authorities in their home countries knew nothing about. Some accounts were held by those convicted of money laundering and friends and families of the world's dictators. The files reveal 6 main tricks used by HSBC's Swiss clients. First is taking Swiss residency, living in the country for a few months a year and paying its relatively low tax rates. This is legal, but you need to be rich. Number 2 is using non-dom status, a UK holdover from the colonial era that allows many wealthy people to legally avoid UK tax on wealth held overseas. 3 is the once popular legal practice of setting up offshore trusts, a practice now out of favour for all but non-doms due to changes to tax law. The 4th trick is transforming personal accounts into corporate accounts, to avoid a tax brought in by a treaty the Swiss government signed with the EU in 2005. Trick 5 isn't legal, but it's the easiest one. Simply have a Swiss bank account and don't tell the government or tax authorities about it. The 6th trick is the common practice of smuggling bundles of cash in local currencies from Swiss accounts and taking them home. If this money is over a certain amount and isn't declared, the practice can be illegal. This and much more is contained in the records the authorities have obtained. 3 countries have launched prosecutions against HSBC itself, while dozens of those named in the files have faced tax investigation. The UK, meanwhile, has to date prosecuted just 1 person named in the documents.
I had in 2001 my first job with HSBC, a private bank in Monte Carlo. My job was to upgrade and improve the IT infrastructures. When I moved to the headquarters, it was perfectly clear that they were moving in a direction where we had less and less controls and that they didn't want to change their way. Inside the bank, all this money were coming from mafia, from narco-traffickers, from criminal activities like blood diamonds, and tax evasion, of course. And all this was there without control. In addition, once known, no one, and I'm talking about governments, were motivated to do anything, even when it was possible. We had over $500 billion in assets that were not supposed to be there. And it was clearly established that the problem was from the direction, from the the board of directors. So they are not just receiving all this money, but also participating to the effort to hide it. And this is the most shocking thing. When we realized that internally it was not possible to change enough the systems, we had to create a plan to force legal authorities to act. I had to get the DNA of the bank. I had access to 100,000 names from more than 170 countries. We needed not only to get the most sensitive data like the names, but also the counterparts, the transactions. We're talking about secrets. Once month later, end of January 2009, French police knocked on my door early morning to arrest me a second time. I make it clear to the prosecutor, the French prosecutor, Mr. Zulkifli, that he was in contact with the biggest case of information available over shadow banking. From the beginning, I gave him access to a list of several thousands of French clients hiding their money in Geneva. Thanks to this information about the bank, we can know that hundreds of billions of dollars are now paid in tax. Without tax, you don't have infrastructures, you don't have modern society. It's not because something is possible that is fair. Not paying tax means what? Means not wanting to take your responsibility being part of a society. It is now impossible for governments to pretend not to be aware that this financial system is supporting huge inequalities. For me, it's my life. It will continue to be a fight for me. But I'm just part of this fight for sharing information.